Jai Shri Krishna. Today we're going to start chapter 7. It's been titled as The Yoga of Knowledge of Nirgun, Brahma and of Manifested Divinity. So in this chapter, Nirgun, Brahma and Manifested Divinity both are described. So before we start today, I like to point out that Gita is the dialogue between Sri Krishna and Arjuna, and it is a continuous discourse. The chapters are there for our convenience and do represent the change in the state of mind of Arjuna. His mind developed from a sorrowful mind which was filled with dejection into what one may label as a supermind, which understood as to what is to be done, how it is to be done, and where his actions performed under the umbrella of Ishwar Gyan will lead him. He begged Bhagavan to tell him what is good for him in chapter 2, Shlok 7. Now we need to take a moment to reflect on this. The common wisdom is that the sansar is an illusion, but it is not. It is true that the sansar is always changing. However, when one is in it, it is real for him. This changing nature of the sansar is due to the karma. Each one of us live in our own world, which is shaped by the nature of our karma. Our ego, which represents one part of the antakaran chatushtaya, which is the jeev in each of us, convinces us that what we do is the right thing. The ego, along with our mind, makes us all perform karma based on the perception of our senses. So what happens is that each one of us sees what everyone else is doing, and being ignorant of others' karma, try to imitate them, which results in what we call failure. This is the cause of the pain and sorrow in the sansar. In sansar, everyone is trying to find the pleasure, but ends up in pain and sorrow. Knowing this, Arjuna takes refuge in Bhagavan and goes into his sharan. The act of going into the sharan is called tyag. To understand tyag, we can simply say that if we find something toxic, we want to get away from it. And the act of getting away from it is tyag. And simply put, knowing the toxic nature of something is gyan. At the end, Arjuna does this when he says karishye vachanam tav in chapter 18. I will do by your word. And he did to the word exactly what Bhagavan said. That's exactly what he did. In the last chapter, Bhagavan said, putting the mind to and remembering Ishwar and doing his seva, these are the characteristics of a bhakt. With this abhyas, with this practice, the supreme powers of the word of Parmeshwar permeates the yogi and he becomes one with Ishwar. Now the question comes up, that for this karma yogi, bhakt, just doing the bhakti is enough, or does he need gyan also? Bhagavan makes it clear that he needs gyan also. Why so? Bhagavan wants to tell Arjuna that when engaged in yoga bhyas, he will meditate on Ishwar. The Bhakt will meditate on Ishwar. And will do this with a murti in front of him. Does he need a murti in front of him to do that? Bhagavan says that he need not look at any murti. Instead, he needs to concentrate on me. And how will he look and concentrate on me is what Bhagavan is telling Arjuna. So in this chapter, starting from the Shlok 1, Bhagavan is telling how can you see me or look at me without having a murti in front of you. Because Ishwar has no murti, is a murti. So how to look at something which has no murti? For this cannot be accomplished without the Ishwar Gyan. You cannot see Ishwar without Ishwar Gyan because there is no murti. So that's why Bhakt does need Gyan. Secondly, here Bhagavan is telling Arjuna about Gyan and Vigyan. These are two ways to know Paramatma. Neither the Atma nor the Paramatma can be seen with our eyes. We cannot see either one of them. We will look at an example to explain this. We can see, and I brought something to show you with. Here in a packet we have sugar. So if we look at it, we can see the sugar with our eyes. Now, but we cannot tell is it sugar or salt without tasting it. So we'll put this in the water. Now when you put this in the water, the way you tell whether it's sugar or salt is by tasting it. So the taste is something which cannot be seen with the eyes. Sugar could be seen with the eyes, but what is the taste of the sugar we cannot see unless we only perceive it with our senses. So we got in the water, and if we taste it, we'll say yes, it is sugar, it is sweet. So now, because we can see the sugar because it's prapanch. However, the sweetness of the sugar is not visible to the eyes. The sweetness can only be experienced through the sense of taste. If we put a spoonful of sugar or the salt and put them side by side and put some ants in there, we will find that the ants will go only to what the sugar is. They will not go to salt. This they do by using their sense. They have a very highly developed sense of taste. So they can find out where the sugar is, they go to sugar and not to the salt. We cannot do that. We have to taste it. Thus there is seeing with the eyes, and the other is experience through the man and senses. The experience through man and senses is what we will call pratiti, experiencing, pratiti. Bhagavan tells Arjuna that you had asked about dhyan, but before you ask where to see me, that see the Paramatma, I shall tell you about it. Now Bhagavan enlightens Arjuna with the Tattva Gyan, the knowledge of the divine. At this stage, I like to point out that unless you know Bhagavan, Sri Krishna, as Ishwar and not the incarnation of Vishnu, understanding what Bhagavan is telling Arjuna will be difficult if not impossible. As we will see, Bhagavan Sri Krishna was an avatar of Ishwar and not that of Vishnu. Vishnu knows that there is someone beyond him, but has no knowledge of who and what it is. Furthermore, like all other Devi Devata, he too is Nitya Baddha. He is in eternal bondage and does not possess the Ishwar Gyan. Now we take the first shlok.
श्रीभगवानुवाच मय्यासक्तमनाः पार्थ योगं युञ्जन्मदाश्रयः असंशयं समग्रं मां यथा ज्ञास्यसि तच्छृणु.
Here Bhagwan lays down the rules which need to be followed in order to know him. So before you tell somebody, you must tell him how to look at something or how to understand it. Before you go out and read some books, you got to know how to read. Otherwise, you cannot read a book. So Bhagwan lays down some rules here which must be met. You got to abide by them in order that you can understand his Gyan. And Bhagwan says, asanshaya, without any doubt. Yatha, how? Gyasyasi mam, you will be able to know me. Samagram, completely, in totality, entire, in its entirety. Tashunu, hear that, listen to that. I want to tell you, Bhagavan says, the way you will know me completely and you will not have any doubt as to who I am. However, for me to tell you this, there are 3 conditions. So for us to listen to this Gyan, in order that it can be understood, 3 preconditions need to be abided. These are set here by Bhagwan. Bhagwan says, O Partha, Maya Sakta Manah. Your mind needs to be attached to me. That's the first condition. This is very important because if your mind is not concentrated on Bhagwan or is attached to Bhagwan, then you will not be able to be concentrate on what is being said and will not understand. See, all this Gyan you cannot see the Gyan. You have to have its pratiti. You have to understand it within. And for that what is within has to make contact with Ishwar who is telling the Gyan. So to get Ishwar Gyan, you need to concentrate solely on Ishwar. That is why we say prayer before we start Gita. Second condition he puts in there for Arjun is Madashraya. Rely and depend on me and me alone. Do not rely on your karam phal. As was said in Shlok 1 and chapter 6, Anashrita karam phalam, without leaning on the karam phal. Man depends on the worldly things, whereas he needs to depend totally on Ishwar. This is the most difficult thing to do. Everyone says that they believe in Ishwar. However, in fact, what we all do is the opposite. We believe in what we see, what we can get, what we have. That's what we believe in. They say seeing is believing. Here that doesn't apply. You cannot see which is unseen. You have to believe in it. And that believing it faithfully, that's what I say is faith. That is what faith is. When a person's mind is attached to Ishwar and he depends on Ishwar and Ishwar alone. In this state, the third condition is when he does yogam yunjan, yog sadhana. In that time, when these three conditions are met, in that time the sadhak receives the jnana with which he gets to know me completely and without any doubt. So if we do that, two preconditions, and then do yog sadhana, then what Bhagavan said in chapter 6, the yogi will get the jnana. He will start to see Ishwar. That is what I am going to tell you, and that you listen now. That's what Bhagavan says. How Parameshwar does explain this jnana is in the next shloka.
Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vakshamya sheshataha yajñātvā neha bhūyonyat jñātavyam avashishyate.
Jnanam te hansa vijnanam. Jnanam te ham savijnanam. The jnana which I am going to tell you is the jnana with vijnana. Here jnana means to see with the eyes, and vijnana means to experience in other ways. Example, that we need a microscope to see a small particle. We cannot see with our bare eyes. So you will know what you see, and that which you do not see with your eyes, you will know all of it in its entirety when Bhagavan says, that's what I'm going to tell you. Says, Yad Gatva Neham. And after knowing this, there will be nothing in this sansar that you will need to know. So Bhagavan tells Arjuna that the jnana which those yogis receive who are engaged in my yoga sadhana, that is what I am about to tell you. This is the simple meaning of this shlok. There is another meaning of this shlok, and this can be found in the commentary called Kaivalya Deepika. It is a handwritten commentary, it never been published, done approximately 600 years ago in Maharashtra. In it is explained that Bhagavan Sri Krishna gave Arjuna the jnana which was given by the Hans avatar to Sankadik Rishis in Satyug. Same jnana is what Bhagavan told Arjuna. To understand this, we will need to look at the story of Bhagavad Puran. In Bhagavad Puran it says Brahma Devata had 4 adopted sons called Sankadik Rishis. They were Sanat, Sanandan, Santajan and Sanat Kumar. One day Brahma was sitting on his Vahan, which is Hans, and these Sankadik Rishis approached Brahma and asked him a question. They said that we have gone through the Vedas in their entirety. However, we were unable to find any means to become free from the bondage of sansar and to be able to go to Ishwar. They say, we have gone through the whole knowledge of Vedas, but we cannot find how to get out of the sansar and get moksha and go to Ishwar. Please tell us that jnana. This put Brahma in a very difficult situation because Brahma had no knowledge to answer this question because Devata have no knowledge of moksha. So to save Brahma from embarrassment, Ishwar, now Ishwar is everywhere all the time. So Ishwar took avatar in Hans. the Vahan of Brahma, and he started speaking. The Hans said, "You need not bother Brahma. That what you want to know, even I can tell you. So why you want to bother Brahma?" And that put Brahma at a higher pedestal then. Then the Hans avatar imparted Gyan to Sankadik rishis. In the Kaivalya Deepika, it is said that the same Gyan which was given to those rishis by Hans avatar in Satyug was given to Arjun by Bhagavan Sri Krishna in Dwapar Yuga. The basis for this derivation is the rule of substitution in Sanskrit language. So in the shlok it is said, Jnanam teham savijnanam. So if you take teham and separate te and aham and put the hum with in front of savijnanam as a prefix, then it reads Jnanam te hansavijnanam. Meaning that the Gyan that was given by Hans avatar in the unique way, Vishesh Rup, in his very unique way, because Ishwar took avatar in the Vahan of or in Hans and gave the Gyan. So now it means that the Gyan given to Arjun was the same that was given to Sankadik rishis in Satyug. This is the correct meaning for the two reasons. Number one, Ishwar Gyan remains same at all times. And number two, Vigyan is a Shakti of Ishwar and is given with higher Gyan, not by words. Vigyan is never given by words. Word Gyan doesn't have Vigyan with it. So, beside in chapter 4, Bhagavan Krishna and Arjun, he tells Arjun that this Gyan is not new. I gave this to Vivaswan, who gave it to Manu, and Manu gave it to Ikshvaku, his son. So now Bhagavan Krishna tells Arjun that I am going to tell this Gyan. However, it cannot be understood by everyone. He tells Arjun why it's not to be understood by everyone in the next slok.
Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschet yatati siddhaye yatataamapi siddhanam kaschin mam vetti tattvataha.
Bhagavan tells Arjun that among 1,000 humans, a rare one makes effort to know this Gyan. Even that desire comes to know this Gyan is only a rare person will have that desire. And strive for perfection, because Gyan is perfect. Once you have Gyan, you can become perfect only with Gyan. And among 1,000 such humans who make effort, a rare one is able to understand the Tattva Gyan. Those who made effort, they had burning desire to know the Gyan. Take a whole bunch of them, one rare one will even understand what the Gyan is and know me in reality. Now why is it so? It is because to get and to remain on this path. See, Gyan is not something magic. Getting Gyan means making effort. Do yoga sadhana. It will not happen by closing your eyes and doing dhyan. No. You have to make sadhana. You have to read. You have to understand. You have to listen. And you have to pray. So, people cannot stay on this path. And that path has to be followed very judiciously. tenaciously. You cannot say, I'm going to do this today, tomorrow I got to take off and do next time again. You cannot do that. It has to be satatam. Bhagavan says, satatam kirti yante mam. The person who listen to my gyan, my kirti, continuously, constantly. You have to do that. And you have to continue making effort. Yatati. Here Bhagavan says yatati. And by nature, Jeev is lazy. And having Matitraya with him tends to go downwards. It's very difficult to go up, to make effort to go up. To do the right thing is very difficult. The wrong thing is easy. So, example, very common example is, if you have water, water will fall lower, will fall from higher level to lower level. But to make that water go up higher from bottom, you have to put energy, you have to put a pump in there and constantly pump that water. As long as the water you want to make the water go up, you got to keep pumping. So that pumping this water is like making effort, and have effort. Once you quit pumping, the water will not go up anymore. Same way this gyan is. Very few people even look at it, have desire to know it, because there is no magic in gyan. And it's a lot of hard work. It's not that easy. So people they want to take easy way out. So they find it difficult to elevate the state of their mind to what may be called the supermind state. Now, by doing this sadhana, what we are doing with this gyan is making our mind and elevating it to a higher level. The consciousness in us, we have to elevate it to a higher level. The consciousness is in everything. Even in stones, rocks have consciousness. But that is very low level consciousness. Particles have consciousness. The highest level of consciousness is in humans. And then humans can still elevate, with the gyan they can elevate their consciousness, go to Devta and beyond to Ishvara. And that takes a lot of effort. On the way, in this journey, even a person with gyan fails to depend totally on Paramatma, Madashraya, and fails the test of being Madashraya. No matter how jnani person is, he will fail sometime. Very rare. That's why he says very rare. It's rare people who can reach to me. So, and he becomes dependent on his karma phal. The very two preconditions which have been set forth by Bhagavan. So, this is a difficult path. However, Paramatma has tried to make it easy for all of us, because he wants all jeev to get gyan and achieve moksha. And he lends his helping hand in this regard. Now, before we go any further, we will look at a story of Rishi Yajnavalkya in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Yajnavalkya has two wives, Maitreyi and Katyanini. Having completed his householder stage of his life, while doing the sadhana in it, Yajnavalkya decided to move on to the next phase of his life as a hermit. He told both of his wives that I will divide all possessions between the two of you. Maitreyi asked Yajnavalkya, if this whole world with all its riches belonged to me, would I be immortal on that account or not? because what Yajnavalkya was doing is he was going to divide his possessions to both wives. So Maitreyi says, fine, I'll get these possessions. But with all this, or even if I have a whole world of things with me, riches with me, would I become immortal? So Yajnavalkya says, with nothing of that sort, replied Yajnavalkya. Your life would be like the life of the well-to-do, but there is no hope of immortality through riches. Then Maitreyi says, what will I do with that by which I shall not become immortal? Explain to me, O Lord. Rather that knowledge which you possess. Maitreyi thought that if Yajnavalkya is leaving everything behind, it must be something much higher which he is going to pursue in jungle. So she asked, what it is that you are going after, leaving everything? Yajnavalkya said that I am going after Atma Gyan. Then she asked him to tell her about it. Then Yajnavalkya tells Maitreyi the following. Atma ve are drashtravyo, shrotavyo nididhyasatavyo, Maitreya atmano va are darshanen, shravanena, matya vigyane nedam sadam sarva viditam. This is in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, chapter 2, Brahman 4. The Atma is worthy of seeing, he says, hearing, knowing, thinking, and meditating about it. Through seeing, listening, and meditating, and with its Vishesh Gyan, all is known. Here Yajnavalkya he first said to see the Atma. His first words were to see the Atma. So Maitreyi asked, how do you see Atma? The commentator said, if you can see the Atma, then surely you will be able to see Paramatma. If you can see Atma, you can see Paramatma. That's what Tikakar said. The Atma being without a body, how can I see it? To explain this, Yajnavalkya told 6 examples. He gave 6 examples to Maitreyi. In the 6th example, he said, just like a lump of salt, which has no inner or external parts. Salt has no parts, neither inside or outside, but which entirely consists of taste. That's the only thing salt has, taste. Put this in water, just like we did the sugar. Then the salt, that rock salt, disappears. When you put it in the water, over time it will disappear. Then drink that water from any side of that pot. You will taste the salt on all sides. Similarly, Atma cannot be seen through eyes. It can only be felt. You cannot see it, you can only feel it. Just like salt in its rock state you could see, but you could not see the taste of it. For the taste you have to taste it. So, experiencing the Atma is seeing the Atma. So when Yajnavalkya said, see the Atma. So the question was, how do you see the Atma? He is now saying, you experience the Atma. So this was the explanation of Rishi Yajnavalkya to Maitreyi about seeing the Atma. But here Bhagavan is telling Arjuna as to how that Paramatma can be seen. Bhagavan has told Arjuna to meditate on him, the Paramatma, and see him in the sansar. And how he is telling Arjun that I am going to tell the Gyan through which you will be able to know me in its entirety, in my entirety. At this point, we'll look at few words about Jeev and Paramatma, the Ishwar. Both have similarities. What are the similarities? Both are eternal, nitya, meaning they have been forever and ever. There is no beginning and there is no end for either one of them. Both are keval, meaning without the three gunas. There is no gun either in Ishwar or in Jeev. With such similarities, both should be able to see each other. Ishwar can and sees the Jeev. However, Jeev is unable to see either himself or the Ishwar. This is because Ishwar is Jnanmaya. Ishwar has Jnana. He is Jnana. And the Jeev does not possess any Jnana. He is totally Ajnani. Jeev is avidya yukt. This avidya is mixed with Jeev. And I'll give you an example of this, how it is mixed. Now you consider Jeev as pure water, like this in glass. And you take some ink and drop into this water. The ink represents avidya, ajnana, ignorance. So they say there is a word called Gyan Prakash. When there is Gyan, there is illumination, Prakash. Ajnana, Andhakar. So now the Jeev, which was pure, with the avidya mixed in with him, with the Jeev, it becomes Ajnana. It becomes totally dark, just like avidya. But we saw that, and we said that Jeev is eternal. It cannot be changed. It's immutable. So when you mix, ink changes the color of the water. However, the water, due to its own quality, is colorless. The water in this cup, water is colorless. The color is due to the ink, the avidya. So, and it remains separate. Even though it's mixed in there, the water is separate from the ink. Now you say, why? How you say that? If a person with the background of chemistry knows how to boil a liquid, right, and go through condensation process, that process can separate the water from this ink mixed water. You can separate both and you will get pure water, which proves that water has its own quality and the quality still remained with the water. Same way, Jeev's quality is there. It never changes. It only gets a little cloudy because of ignorance. And that's why with Gyan, that ignorance is washed away. Just like we gave the example here of distillation. So it can be washed away and Jeev becomes pure. And at that state, Jeev can see Paramatma. Jeev cannot see because it's dark. So similarly, Jeev can be separated from avidya. The technique of separating and removing avidya from Jeev is known only to Ishwar. Nobody else knows it. Ishwar does manifest himself in the sansar, And to those who are worthy of it, he imparts the jnana through which Jeev, having known the reality, rises above Devta and becomes one with Ishwar. He becomes all powerful. No Devta can do anything to that Jeev. Then once the Jeev has that jnana with him. This jnana is being described starting in the next shlok. So Bhagavan tells Arjun,
Bhumirapo nalo vayuhu kham mano buddhireva cha ahankara iti yamme bhinna prakritirashtadha.
Bhagavan says, he starts telling the basic elements of the creation. What are these basic elements? This is what is called Ashtadha Prakriti, eightfold Prakriti. These are Bhumi, the earth, Aap, water, Anal, fire, Vayu, air, Kham, Akash or ether, and Man, which is mind, Buddhi, which is intellect, and Ahankar, egoism. Itiyam, in this way, Ashtadha, eightfold, Bhinna, divided, Prakriti belongs to me, Bhagavan says. So all that we see in sansar is made up of this eightfold Prakriti. Whatever you see, it has all these 8 elements in it. Some are working, some are not working, but they are all in there. All these 8 are different from each other and are present in everything that exists. For example, take a piece of wood. So, in the wood, it has earth, because if you let the wood rot, it becomes like soil. And it has water in it. Unless there is water in it, you cannot wet it. When you put water on the outside, that water goes in and meets with the water inside, and it wets the whole piece of wood. It has fire in it. That is why it can be burned. You light up a little bit from the outside and it burns the whole piece of wood out. Burn the whole jungle down. The fire within causes the wood to burn down. It has air and empty space within too. In Nyaya Darshan, it has been described that where you smell something, there is Bhumi. So how you know Bhumi Tattva? With the smell. Where there is taste, ras, or flavor, there is presence of water. So the taste is due to the water. If your mouth is dry, completely dry, you can put all the sugar you want to put, you cannot taste the sugar unless the mouth is wet inside. So the taste comes from water. The shape and the beauty is due to fire. Like if you take gold, for example, you put in the fire, it becomes more beautiful, becomes kundan, right? Becomes more beautiful. So fire is what imparts beauty, tej. The air tattva can be felt by the sense of sparsh, touch. And where there is world, there is akash, kham. That is why the word is communicated electronically through ether or space. That's why you can do radio waves. You can send the word from here to Mars. It goes through Antariksha. So this is the discriminative knowledge of the five tattva. In each of these tattva, the others are there. They are all four present. One is the main tattva and the other four are subordinate tattva. So where there is bhum, there is water, there is agni, there is air, there is akash. Where there is akash, there are also all the other fours are there. But akash is the primary tattva. So in water tattva present there are fire, air, earth as well as ether. Any of the tattva does not exist by itself. They do not exist by themselves. They are all the time together. Now what are the other three tattva? We talked about five only. What are the other three tattva? The mind, which is intellect, and ego. What are these three? These three tattva represent three gunas. Mind is due to rajogun. The intellect is from sattva. And the ego is representative of tamogun. The uniqueness in everything which separates it from the others is what ego is. So tamogun in each of us says that I am different from everyone else. Everyone is unique. They all consider, right? Everybody, I say, I am better, I am this, I am this. You say I, that means you are identifying yourself as separate from everybody else. That is tamogun. This idea of comparison and competition is the work of tamogun. Now in today's world, they say you must compete. Okay? Look what's happening in this world. There is no cooperation. When there is competition, there is no cooperation. Everybody for themselves. I. Two brothers born as twin, each consider him separate from the other. This is I in each one of us. There is their ego. In Sanskrit, it is aham, meaning I am. कहते हैं aham, ego, aham. Ahankar, right? Ahankar, which brings about aham in us. That's what ahankar is. That's what ego is. So that aham, what aham is? Me. I am. Know me that I am. This individuality in us is from the tamogun. Anger also arises from the same gun. And somebody says, I am this, and you go out there and say, no, you are not like this. You try to prove them wrong, they get upset. So anger, they may not express sometimes due to civility, but within themselves, they are not very happy. So what is rajogun now? This is tamogun. What is rajogun? Mind is the faculty which rajogun is predominant in. Rajogun is in the mind. How to understand this? It is like numbers. Numbers which are in arithmetic. If you place numbers together, like 1, 2, 3, 4, they will join together. Or in other words, they commute. Right? This is the first scientific principle of numbers, that numbers do commute. For example, take a number 95, where 9 and 5 commute and become 14. Then 1 and 4 becomes 5. This way, number 9 from 95 disappears. Therefore, it is said that you can understand the Sakar Paramatma by number 9. And the unmanifested, the Nirakar Paramatma, is understood by 0, Shunya. In itself, Shunya has no value. It doesn't do anything. Unmanifested Paramatma doesn't do anything. However, when added to a number, it becomes of value. Like if you put number 1 in front of 6 zeros, and everybody would love that, the result is 1 million, right? 0 has no value. But when put those 0 after number 1, 1 becomes 10, 100, 1000, keeps going on and on. So 0 has no value. Now the number 9 is visible, but then it is nothing in itself. If you put this number with any other number, it changes that number with which you put it together and then becomes separate, like we seen in number 95. It separates itself out. This assimilation and commuting is the first scientific nature of everything in this creation. In this creation, everything gets together. That's why people like to have company. They want to meet with people of the same nature. What is this nature? Their mind is of the same wavelength, they call. That's what Rajogun is. So you can explain this with mathematics. The things in creation can be explained by mathematics. However, like the number 9, having manifested in the creation, Parmeshwar reveals himself to Jeev and helps while remaining aloof and unattached at all times, just like we see in number 95. It made 5 95, but 9 is still separate. This scientific nature of assimilation and communication is the work of the mind. In the mind, the thoughts are assimilated and commuted all the time. That's what mind does. This is Rajogun, and it is this guna by which the sansar moves forward in time. Without Rajogun, sansar will stop completely, stand still. Similarly, buddhi, it is work of satogun. The buddhi gives decision as what to do. In this way, first and foremost, we all have what we have? Ego, which we call individuality. This ego is the work of tamogun. Then our minds are the work of rajogun. The work of mind is to get together with others. Development of thought, getting and being together. These are all the work of Rajogun. And the work of Satogun is Buddhi, which gives us the right decision. So Bhagavan tells Arjun that whatever you see in this creation is my eightfold Prakriti. These 8 tattva also make up the body of the manifested Paramatma. When Ishwar avatar comes in sansar, the body, the murti is made up of these 8 tattva. So Bhagavan says further in the next shlok,
अपरेयमितस्त्वन्याम् प्रकृतिं विद्धि मे पराम् जीवभूतां महाबाहो ययेदं धार्यते जगत्.
Iyam, this eightfold apara is my apara means jada prakriti. Iti anyam, different from this, with the me param. No, my para prakriti, jiva bhutan, the very life element prakriti, which is my chetan prakriti. Hey Mahabaho, mighty arm. Yaya idam jagat dharyate. By which, with this chetan prakriti, by which this Jagat is sustained, is maintained by this para Prakriti or the Chetan Prakriti. So Arjun, besides my eightfold Prakriti, which is called Apara or Jal Prakriti, there is my Para Prakriti. Know it as the very life element which sustains this Jagat. Without that, nothing will be here. Nothing can be sustained. The Apara or Jada Prakriti is what makes up the outer body of all that is physical. Like if you take your body, look at it, it's all Jada Prakriti. Without the Chetan inside of this body cannot do anything. It's dead. That's what happened when a person dies. The Chetan Prakriti is out of the body and the body is dead, it's Jada. It cannot be sustained by itself. To sustain this body, there has to be Chetan Prakriti within. It can also be called the outer Prakriti. It is also called Gunamayi Prakriti, since it has 3 gunas in it. The higher Prakriti, which is also called Para or Chetan, expresses in the form of Jiva, Jiva Bhuta. It has become Jiva. It is and works within the Jada Prakriti. Bhagavan called this as Jiva Bhutam, or it is the Jeev in all of us. So the Chetan Prakriti is Jeev in all of us. Now this creates little confusion. You say Jeev, and now you say Jeev Bhutam. Jeev Bani. It's become Jeev within us. What he's saying, Bhagavan is saying that Jeev within us, what he's pointing out, Chetan Prakriti, is what you speak with, you see through, you touch and you sense all this. You understand, you comprehend. All this is because of the Jeev Bhuta or Chetan Prakriti within us. It is not the same Jeev, which we say the Jeev which will be going to moksha. No. But this is there working within this body and sustains the body. It is what it speaks in all of us. We don't speak. If the Chetan Prakriti is not there, can a body speak? No. We are speechless. We cannot speak. We cannot even see if the Chetan Prakriti of the eyes is not working in us, which is the power of the sun. If the Sparsh Indriya, that Devta is not working, we cannot feel anything. Because nothing but this is all Jada. So this Prakriti has become Jeev in all. The whole creation is sustained by it. The same Prakriti is in all the trees, all the plants, all the grass, insects, everything. They have Chetan Prakriti within. So they can reproduce, they can do everything. Everything is done because of the Chetan Prakriti. In this description, the word Jeev means Chetan, which is alive. Meaning that the Prakriti is living Prakriti. This is what makes us think, speak, have birds fly or chirp. Whatever they do is all that Chetan Prakriti. It makes us alive. Now we need to understand as to what is Chetan Prakriti. This Chetan Prakriti is twofold. One is called Devta and the other Jeev. The Devta works within their Swarup, their sphere of influence. They cannot go outside of it. Through their Gyan, they have that limited Gyan knowledge which works within their own sphere of influence. They have their own Sukh. They have their own Prakash, light, so they can see. And they have their own Aishwarya, which is sovereignty. So one devata does not interfere with the other devata's work. They are all sovereign powers. They are the ones who perform all the work in the creation. Above all devata, there is Maya, which is the primordial power of Ishwar. It is also called Prakriti. Is Ishwar's Prakriti. Maya's name is Prakriti. So there are two Prakriti of Ishwar. One is Jad and the other is the life Prakriti. This life Prakriti is only one. There is only one life Prakriti. And it performs all the activities. Now how do I say that? Now to explain this, to understand this concept, consider a flywheel. In an automobile there is a flywheel, right? In all these engines there is a flywheel. And there are other wheels which do other actions. One runs alternator, something runs something else. So these other wheels do not turn the flywheel. The flywheel is the one which is turning the other wheels. So Prakriti, which imparts life into all separate forms, the one to which it gives the life and it sustains everything in the creation, that is what Prakriti, that is where your flywheel comes into it. That is Maya. Now how is it that this Prakriti is Jeev? We said there is Prakriti and there is Jeev. How is it Jeev? The Prakriti is also what is called the consciousness. The consciousness is in everything. Only the level of it is changing with this yoni, whatever form of life there is. So the awakening of the consciousness is different in different entities. In the rocks of a mountain, there is Jeev. That is why the mountains grow. However, the consciousness there is in the sleeping state. It's not very active. That's why you can climb the mountains and they won't say anything. They don't feel. It's theirs. It's like Jal. Similarly, Jeev is in plants, animals and humans. You plant two plants together side by side, they will try to go and join hands, be together. They grow towards each other. The consciousness gradually grows and develops as the life form changes to the human level. As the life form changes to human level, the consciousness develops and grows and develops fully. So in human beings, the consciousness is fully grown. So Jeev is present in all, and the para, chetan, maya or the consciousness does hold and sustain everything in the samsara. So without that consciousness, nothing will exist. So these are the names of the same Prakriti. It is para because it is superior to the apara. Apara is Jal Prakriti, para is Chetan Prakriti. It is Chetan because it gives life. It is Maya since it puts Jeev in Moh. It develops Moh to Jeev. So this is the same name. These names are same for the same Prakriti, which is Maya, the main primordial power of Parmeshwar. Thus, through his Maya, Ishwar holds and sustains everything. I hope it is clear. Now in the next slok,
एतद्योनीनि भूतानि सर्वाणीत्युपधारय अहं कृत्स्नस्य जगतः प्रभवः प्रलयस्तथा
aham कृष्णस्य जगतः इति उपधार्य. Know this. Iti updharya. Know this, that etat, these two prakriti hold and sustain yonini. Yonis or the forms of sarvani, all bhutani, all beings. And since both these are my prakriti, Bhagavan says, aham, I am Prabhava Pralaya Yastata. I am the source of creation and also of dissolution. Prabhav and Pralay, both. Krishna Jagat, of this entire creation. So, what he's saying, Bhagavan is telling Arjuna, that although the entire creation happens and sustained by the two Prakriti, which I told you, these are my two Prakriti. They are not by themselves, they are my Prakriti. Therefore, I am the origin and the dissolution of the entire universe, Jagat. So, to summarize what we talked today, there is one Ishwar, and Bhagavan says that that is me, he tells Arjuna. He can only be known by Gyan, which only he can impart. Nobody else has the Gyan to impart. Ishwar is immutable, and his Gyan always stays the same. It is the absolute. In all yugas, when there is Ishwar avatar, that avatar imparts the same Gyan. All that we see with our eyes is apara prakriti. The other is para prakriti. It is this para prakriti which keeps together and sustains the sansar. It is called Maya or the consciousness. Maya is the Shakti of Ishwar and does all his work. We shall worship only the Parameshwar, the one God, and no one else. To do this, we need to have, what are the preconditions? Attachment only to Ishwar and no one else, and depend on Him alone. And lastly, Ishwar is the source of all creation and its dissolution. So He is in charge. Ishwar is everything there is because of Ishwar. And all the powers that you see is His power. It is His Prakriti. And because He wants to get Jeev to get to moksha, He uses His Prakriti to that end. Sri Krishna Arpanamastu.